Hello, everyone. Today I am talking about Mass Effect 2. This is a sequel to the highly acclaimed Mass Effect Original. I remember when Mass Effect Original first came out, I was like, oh, there's this new cool thing that was like, kind of a one-off from BioWare, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. I'm so glad they made it. But I did not realize this was going to become a full series, a full flagship a series of, the next generation of consoles and, all the things that brought along with it. The first thing that people notice about Mass Effect 2, which is absolutely hilarious, is now that, at this point they were bought by EA, BioWare, and I immediately thought, oh no, they're going to ruin it. If not this one, then definitely the next one. And so the first thing people notice is the fact that there are now reloadable clips for your guns. You have to press X to reload now. What a good use of our time. Because thermal heat sinks, of course, the entire galaxy in the course of 10 years all switches to thermal clips. Ridiculous, stupid, silly. It's just to make it more of a modern shooter, to make it look more shootery, and to their credit, the gameplay and gunplay is better, more action-oriented in this one. Hiding in cover is a lot more, I would say, important, and again, a lot of other things are just really, pent up for the action of the entire game. What's really cool about this game is that it carries over your information and data from the first game. If you're doing this on Xbox 360 on consoles, it would actually, as you start the game, it would ask you to search your hard drive for Mass Effect 1 save data, and it would import that and all the decisions you made in the first game, and it would bring those into this game. So for example, if you made a certain decision in the first game, you could actually lose a major character of the story, a main character, actually, if you didn't have the right diplomatic skills to defuse the situation. Rex basically could have died in Mass Effect 1, and I've always wondered about replaying this game with that as being the fact. I don't know how everything would turn out, but you certainly wouldn't have the Krogan support by the third game, that's for sure. So what is different in Mass Effect 2? Well, basically, with the Reaper threat temporarily defeated, you still have to wait for the next one. However, I really, this is still kind of really stupid that now there are the collectors, a new race of super powerful ancient aliens that are now collecting, human colonists and villagers and settlers and whatever, and harvesting them exactly like the Geth are doing, but now they're just different. So it's a weird, side story where they're like, okay, the Reapers are still coming, and we have to prepare, but now there's just another thing that is exactly like them, but not quite the same. It's very, I don't know, it's kind of silly, frankly. I thought it was kind of dumb. But anyway, we have the Collectors now. There is also the introduction of a new human faction, Cerberus. So Cerberus is a human-led coalition, not a private company, essentially. It's not affiliated with the government. And essentially it is a kind of black market operation. It is a kind of mafia-esque organization that is looking at pushing humanity towards to be the best race in the galaxy. So it's almost a supremacist organization, but really when you're at the bottom of the totem pole, it kind of makes sense. And the organization is run by the Elusive Man, who is, well, a very elusive man. No one really knows much about him. He's a guy with these built-in cybernetic blue-eyed implants. He's always smoking a cigar up in his little, space thing somewhere. And no one really knows what his real identity is. All they know is his motives to basically make humanity number one. And how it starts off in this game is that Shepard is investigating a disturbance on the Outer Rim or whatever for the Collectors. And what happens is that the Normandy is ambushed and the entire crew is basically wiped out along with Shepard. Shepard is dead, but the Elusive Man and his private company Cerberus, since Shepard was essentially a human war hero and a symbol of human, progress in the sector, they basically operated Project Lazarus to resurrect Shepard and basically bring him back from the dead. And so basically in this scenario, he's like, well, you're alive now again, and you can make your own decisions, but, you know, you kind of owe us a debt since we literally brought you back from the dead using the most advanced technology that we have. And so you are kind of indebted and almost a employee of Cerberus at the beginning, despite being your own independent person. So you're gonna choose how much you ally with Cerberus and their radical ideology. They're more so a renegade faction in the galaxy. They will basically stop at nothing, no morals or ethics, to become number one in the galaxy. And so because of that, you kind of have to choose whether or not you ally themselves with them or not. Regardless, however, the collectors need to be defeated, and you're going to use all of the Cerberus resources that you can. Not only does Cerberus bring you back from the dead, they also give you a brand new Normandy version 2, as well as 2 new party members to keep tabs on you and bolster your party. Jacob the Biotic, essentially a replacement for Caden in the first game, and Miranda, who is a spec ops kind of agent, sent also to, you know, keep you in line and also to bolster your party. Throughout the game, you will, of course, come through old friends and faces. You will find Garrus and Rex in the game. However, I think of them, you can only recruit Garrus back into your party. It's funny because when you first arrive on the... Instead of going to the Citadel as your hub world, you now visit Omega, which is this asteroid-based colony that's an underworld kind of base that's filled with crime and, you know, all this other stuff. And essentially because you are no longer... because everyone thinks you're dead, again, when you come into people and tell them you're Shepard the War Hero, again, people don't believe you, and you have to prove yourself all over again. There are also some new fan favorites in here. In fact, Mass Effect 2 has the most amount of party members in any game. I think, like in the original, you had 5, and in Mass Effect 3, you have 6 or something. This one, you have like 12. There are actually almost too many party members. Plus, if you get the DLC, there's yeah, quite a few for sure. There is the DLC ones. There is a mercenary called... I don't even want to say his name because I can't even remember it, but there's like a mercenary called Zendaya or something, and he's this, you know, badass, you know, mercenary you recruit who is a human. There is also this Tali, who is part of a Quarian faction. The Quarians are an interesting faction because they actually invented the Geth, and essentially they are this race of people who are traveling merchants throughout the galaxy, and the Geth were their robotic slaves who eventually turned on them and made a collective conscious. You can actually get a Geth follower in this one called Legion. You can also get Thane, who is sort of an aquatic type creature. I forget his race's name, but he is this really cool assassin. Thane might be my favorite character in this series. He's just really like the strong silent type. He's really, really nifty. You also get Sumatra or Samaria, who is an Asari warrior of justice, kind of like an Amazonian kind of vibe to her. I believe she's called a Justicar. And you also get a Solarian scientist. There's just a lot of characters, and I'm probably going to forget one, so I won't even bother going through all of them. But yes, most of these characters are really, really, really cool and have great dialogue and a fun backstory. And it's kind of a shame you only have a 3-person party because you just have so many. Also, in the beginning, you get Jack, who is a... I don't know how you describe Jack. She's a incredibly troubled young girl with a shaved head and was used and abused in sort of, you know, a human or Cerberus biotics program. So she's highly talented and I know has a high mental capability, but she's incredibly angry at the world and everything in it. And so she's kind of like a loose cannon that you're not sure if you can control or not. Anyway, the amount of characters in this game is really cool. Of course, what works mechanically is that each character will also have a backstory mission, so you find out more about who they are, what their motivations are for joining Cerberus or joining whatever faction. And once you complete that backstory mission, you get a ranking, and you also unlock their alternative costume for their loadout, which is pretty cool. Most of them are pretty much worth it. What's interesting in this game, also in dialogue, is that sometimes a L or R Paragon Renegade will flash on screen, which will allow you to essentially choose a certain action rather than just dialogue in that moment. And it could be, like beating up an interrogator, or trying to save someone or stop someone from saying something that they're going to regret, and you can interrupt them. And so that's a cool new aspect of the dialogue. Also, I believe in this game your appearance will change depending on your decisions. If you choose more Renegade, similar to Knights of the Old Republic, your cybernetic framework in your face from the Lazarus Project will start glowing, and you'll look more Sithy, as it was in the previous games. Also, what's cool now, whenever you beat a mission, you basically give a report to the Elusive Man, and that's how it ranks you on, how you did in the mission, how many credits you got, the kinds of things you picked up. Something new in this game is there are kind of these blueprints and things that you can then buy and credits for, which are basically weapon attachments or completely new weapons themselves. There's actually a really cool side weapon that I really, really enjoyed, which was essentially a giant mini nuke that would charge up and fire. And so in this game, they added a new weapon class, which essentially are heavy weapons, and they tend to have extremely limited ammo and can only be used once per mission, really. They also introduced some new races. So while on Omega 3 or the asteroid satellite, there are the race of the Vorcha, which are essentially the spiky insectoid creatures, which are, kind of just asking to be put out of their misery. There's nothing really good about them. They're either on drugs or they're just evil little cretins. There's nothing good about them. It's interesting that the leader of Omega is actually a kind of renegade Asari. Also, hacking in this game has changed. It's really cool. You have to match these lines of code, or sometimes you will have to match a series of nodes in a simple, match the thing mini game. I'm not sure if it's this one or Mass Effect 3, but I think as a more technical-based class loadout, you can summon a drone to help you in combat. So there's obviously some new powers in the game. And there are also new enemy types, robots, and other kind of biotics, and of course the collectors. It's interesting, the one gimmick the collectors have is that they are essentially a hive mind race. And of course, they're just collecting people and turning them into other collectors, like, who saw that coming? While you're fighting them, the sort of main collector hive mind king, if you will, essentially, will control or come to control one of the main units, and will start essentially attacking through one of his minions. And then if you kill that one, he'll swap to another body. But whenever he does it, he says, "assuming direct control." It's very much a meme about this game that people really remember. It just sounds really cool. The other thing, too, is I think I should mention about both this game and the original Mass Effect, just the game over screen is just very iconic. Like, when everyone thinks of the Mass Effect game over screen, they can definitely hear that. It's very iconic, essentially. Again, I feel like the environments have been a little bit streamlined so that, where your cursor will hover over things that you can interact with. And it's usually things that are voice logs or, credit things to pick up. And so it feels like the environment's a lot more streamlined and a little bit samey. Again, you will visit multiple planets around this game. And the big difference that I frankly honestly hate is you can basically scan for resources now, and so you basically go to a planet, and even if you can't land on it, so also, yeah, gone is the Mako section, so there's no more landing with your tank. You just land into the main city or area you're supposed to be. Some planets you only visit once, and you basically have this one mission that you bring your squad in, and then you get, a squad member, and you extract them, and that's it. I remember probably one of my favorite missions actually was extracting the new Krogan that they had birthed called Grunt. He's a great addition to the team, essentially, since you don't have a Krogan ally until he shows up. But yeah, for most of the planets, even though you can't land on them, you can unfortunately do this stupid mini game where you can scan for minerals, and minerals are used to upgrade and buy certain items. So what happens is you will kind of scan, and basically depending on the amount of rumble and the rumble pad, it'll show you there's element 0 and different palladium and all these other elements, and you shoot a probe down. And of course you have to buy and spend credits on probes and fuel, and it's kind of frankly annoying because you know there's always more resources on the planet than what you got, and it's just a matter of like getting all of them can be super tedious and frustrating, I suppose. What's also cool is that the galaxy map, oh my god, I forgot. The galaxy map is one of my favorite themes in gaming. It sounds amazing, and it's so cool and so futuristic and really adds to the entire world. So the galaxy map in the first game, you just kind of was able to choose your area around the galaxy and warp there. However, in this scenario, your little ship is actually active on the minimap. So besides the relays, which you use to jump between different solar systems, once you're in that system, your ship will actually move within it as a little sprite, and I find that really funny and really kind of cute, honestly. And so the thing is, you can run out of fuel, and if you do, it'll just basically charge you extra credits for not fueling up at another station, and just adds a little new aspect of gameplay to the whole experience. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of new things that are in this game. It really feels like your ship is really full because, of course, each crew member or party member has their part of the ship where they stay, and so the ship feels really, really full because, again, there are so many characters in this game, and each one of them with their own branching skill tree, or a skill sheet rather. So you have to like say, okay, how do I want to manage and optimize this, you know? And so as you go through the story, you basically find out, more things about the collectors, about Cerberus, whether or not they're good for humanity or not, whether they're worth allying with, interaction with the Citadel and Omega and the Underworld. And so what you find out eventually by the end of the game is there's actually a relay behind the Omega-3 asteroid that takes you into deep space, and it's considered to be a one-way trip almost to the collector home base. And so the whole game is building up to this very interesting mechanical aspect of the game, which is called the suicide mission. So essentially it's saying that when you transport to this final mission of the game, it's going to be so hard and so desperate and so intense that you're going to lose party members, that these relationships that you've built as you've played the game are going to basically just, they're just going to die on this mission because it's so dangerous. So, of course, if you don't decide to do anyone's backstory and just have them at level 1 or whatever, and go into the suicide mission, you can absolutely do that, and you will most definitely fail. And the thing is, I think even if you do fail, you kind of get the credits saying, oh, well, we weren't able to defeat the collectors or whatever. And, of course, you can do a mix match of different things, and, of course, hey, if anyone dies here, they're not going to be in Mass Effect 3. He ain't going to be in Mass Effect 3. And so you have to be really careful. So obviously, I made sure that I upgraded all of my guys, did all of their backstories, got them to an appropriate, state where we all went in. And of course, everyone makes it out alive, and, by the skin of their teeth, they're badly wounded. But, you blow up the collector base and you all kind of make it. I mean, that's not really a huge spoiler. I mean, it's the ending. However, that being said, you can get multiple endings, which are really interesting. One of them including an ending where everyone else makes it, but you stay behind and actually die in order to take out the base. So there's an ending where Shepard dies and everyone else lives. There's, of course, other endings where everyone else dies and Shepard lives. So it's really interesting. You can really have a lot of different endings and experiences with this game based on how you tackle it, which I thought was really, really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much the game. It also has a DLC, which I didn't play until recently. It was actually fairly good even after all these years. You had a little thing where you had to infiltrate this rich person's place on this planet with this agent called Kasumi. And so she ends up becoming a party member. You also recruit this mercenary and you do this series of side quests. One where like there's a like an autistic guy, like literally he has autism, and he's like a mathematical genius, and they kind of latch him up to this machine to extract his genius, I guess, from it, and torturing him to keep him alive so that he can basically figure out a solution to their problem. I forget all of them, but there's a series of really interesting side quests that do actually add to the game and kind of give you more reason to kind of use all the characters you've aggregated over the course of the game. Honestly, though, oh my gosh, I forgot the overall controversy. So the controversy of Mass Effect when it came out is that you could have sexual relations with some of the characters. And of course, it was very, tame. Everything was basically off screen and, typical what you would see in like a normal movie. But it made a huge, a huge impact essentially, for media. And I remember there was this one interview with Jeff Keighley, and Jeff asked them, well, you're complaining about this game, but have you actually played it? And they was like, well, of course not. And it was one of the funnier interviews I've seen concerning gamings. But yeah, so the relationship aspect is still back in this game, so you can choose different characters to choose from. You could actually either choose a gay relationship with Kaidan in the original game, or Ashley, or Liara. So you could choose to have human sex, alien sex, or gay sex, basically. Maybe alien sex and gay sex are the same thing, but who knows. But anyway, that's kind of how the game was laid out. And so in this one, there's a lot more the relationships to choose from. Of course, unfortunately, since Ashley and Liara don't return, so you're going to have to choose someone else if you want to do so. It's actually funny because a lot of people did choose, I think, Tali as the fan favorite in this game, and I definitely chose Tali. She was just really nice, as a Quarian, I guess. And so, yeah, part of this game is definitely your relationships and how you maintain them from your crew. Of course, you can also play as female Shepard, so you can also pursue the relationships with all the men of the ship as well. Actually, now that I say that, I know if you're a female Shepard, you can definitely get with Kaidan, but I'm not sure if you can do it as male Shepard. I'm not actually sure you can do that, so I might have misspoken about that one, actually. My apologies. But yeah, that's Mass Effect and Mass Effect 2 in a nutshell. It's a really fun game. Lots of cool little mods and upgrades you can do, for your weapons and things like that. It has scavenging, it's just so fascinating to investigate the different cultures around, the galaxy. Something else, I really do recommend the DLC, especially the Shadow Broker one, was actually a lot of fun. Especially because it actually introduces a new race that I had never seen, even in the sequel Mass Effect 3. It was like the last of his kind, and he was actually really well designed and really fun to fight. It was a very, very cool, very well done DLC, and very beautiful looking. They were really pushing the graphics on the Shadow Broker's base area. It was really, really cool. So I can't help but recommend it. The Mass Effect DLCs are all good, especially 3, but not really 1. And 2 is kind of somewhere in the middle. But yeah, all that being said, Mass Effect 2, great game, classic game, definitely part of the 7th generation, great thing. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.